What's up, YouTube? Today I have an amazing guest returning to the podcast. Will, first of all, it's a pleasure to have you with me again. I had you 8 months ago. I was checking that before we started recording. And I'm really happy to have you again. I think we have a lot to talk about. I think your collecting journey and been quite amazing in the last 6 months, 8 months. So we'll talk about that. Just a quick presentation for my viewers that may not know you or may never saw that podcast. Feel free to present yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Will Wasmer. My IG tag's Wasabi Trading with two S's. I started relatively recently, so maybe about like a year and a half. Yeah, about a year and a half ago, but kind of just like fell really into the deep end of things and met Andre through, funny enough, a Pokemon Discord that we both share.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of quickly pivoted to soccer since I've always loved it since I lived in London back in 2010. And, you know, it's just, I've been an Arsenal fan ever since. So that's kind of how I started.
Well, I have 5 questions. Again, we don't need to stay on these questions. They are just to start the conversation. Most of them will be related with your evolution as a collector, especially comparing with the podcast we did 8 months ago. So
Mm-hmm.
can I start with this, Will?
Yeah, let's get into it. Yeah, it's going to be
Okay.
fun.
So the question number one is actually probably one of the most important ones I have today for you. If you could start today, knowing what you know, what would you change?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because it's very funny because I feel like a lot of we even like yesterday I DM'd you about a purchase and like we always talk pretty openly as friends, so like I can always trust you to be like, oh, I think that's a good purchase. I don't think I didn't think that's the best purchase, and that's been our relationship ever since, and I'm very thankful for that. And I think that like looking back with what I know now, I wish that so there's a few things. I think just let's say the obvious one, which is I was pretty uh I wish I just did Messi. I got more Messis. I mean, he won the World Cup. Like, come on. Like, I think like a lot of it, what I'm thinking about now is just like this sort of, obviously nothing's guaranteed, but sort of eventuality of like Messi really separating himself from the soccer market as is like completely distinct market, similar to like how Jordan is with basketball, how Brady is with baseball or football, how yeah. So and that's what I really am thinking about right now. So I definitely wish I like got more Messies. I still think it's a really good time to get Messies, especially now where PSG looks like they might be on their way out. We'll find out very soon. And it's just kind of like a slow period in the market right now. So I've been kind of trying to make the most out of it. I think the other thing is like really focusing on a few sets. I think I kind of went,
Hmm.
a lot of, and I mean, not saying this as like a bad thing, but just reflecting, like, I really wish I focused on like some of the more key sets rather than kind of trying to get more cards. And I think looking back on it, I'm realizing I don't really need a lot of cards in my collection, but I really care about having the key cards in a relatively high grade. So I wouldn't say I'm like a everything needs to be gem mint sort of person, especially since some of those are completely unattainable for me for grails. But I think that I really wish I focused a little bit more on the key sets and not try to like be a little bit, I guess, like too cheeky with it. And I think it worked out only because the market was still relatively like hot or like still like in a pretty decent period. But just with how the economy has gone, I much rather play it safer these days. And then I think the other thing, and this one kind of is the biggest thing for me, is just not trying to. I mean, I guess I alluded to it a little bit before, but not trying to get a little too like cheeky or smart with it. And I think that like when it comes to collecting, like I really just like the key stuff, but sometimes I would get cards because oh, I thought this was undervalued, or oh, like why aren't people looking at this and stuff like that. And really the plays that have like kind of allowed me to grow the collection that I wanted to were either because it was like a new rookie or something like that, or like something that was super low pop, or mostly in the pre-modern era, or something where the price point was just ridiculously low. like, you know, with treble, you know, like I'll be the first to say treble kind of helped jumpstart my collection. And you know, just for like, you know, I was picking up treble for like 10, 15, $20, you know, and that sort of thing. But then after that, I tried to like kind of get a little bit too cheeky with it and tried to like, the biggest mistake I made was like trying to get into like tickets. And I think that's a really cool thing. But I got one of the Messi like debut tickets right before Golden like just dumped it all into the market, right? And it took like such a big hit. And I still remember what you told me about it. And you're like, you know, I think you're more mad.
I don't remember whether.
Oh, really? Okay. You were like, I don't think you're mad because like you like made a play. I think you're mad because like you just like didn't put in the research for it, you know. And that's kind of what I've really thought about, because like there are plays that I have right now where I believe in it more. Like, you know, an example of that would be like these like FIFA foot stickers, you know, like, you know, I have like
those are really, really nice.
yeah, you know, and so I believe in that a little bit more. But like with the ticket thing, you know, really like I just didn't put in the research. I got caught up in a little bit of the hype, and it's cool that it's Messi's debut ticket, but I think like I just tried to be a little bit too smart, and it really bit me in the head. And then also worrying about sort of the not being as concerned about the pop report. I think I'm much more concerned about the pop report now, because outside of the ticket, the next big mistake I got was like a PSA 9 Mundi Chromo Iniesta at like I think something like $900, and it was like on its way down. And luckily I pivoted, and I think I traded it, and I got like maybe 650 trade value for it, you know, just because I thought it was going to keep on going down. But really being careful about pop reports in pre-modern is a big thing, I think, for me now.
You know, no, I mean, amazing answer, Will. Being totally open with you. I also there is a lot to unpack there. By the way, you said
Yeah.
you said a lot of stuff. I would say one thing. So I've been operating in the market for a bit longer than you. Not much longer, because the soccer card market explosion is not. I've been not collecting for 10 years. I started, I believe, late 2018, but more on 2020 when I started actually putting more money into the market. And the fascinating thing about this is the mistakes you did. I also do today. By the way, it's not like that. I don't do these mistakes anymore. Of course, with time, I believe we start making better decisions. It goes very well into the timing the market versus timing the market. The timing the market really gives you a different perspective. But to end up touching in one thing that I find quite amazing, that sometimes we complicate too much. You know, I think if you really think about we kind of know what are the best things to buy, or at least for the moment we live right now, we kind of have an idea of what the market likes. We know that, rookies for Ronaldo, Messi, Pelé, Maradona, they have a market, and they have a very strong market, actually. We also know that certain sets in modern, they do a little bit better than others. Chrome, Prism, Flawless, Eminence. But of course, it's always fascinating to try to find the next big thing, the thing that can be undervalued and that can play out amazing, or like you also end up sharing with me, can also be a disaster. We can lose a lot. The thing about tickets is, I don't remember actually having that talk with you, but I believe in you. I never end up buying into the ticket market, not because I believe or not in the market. It's just something I don't care, and that for me that's quite. A ticket does not do anything for me. For some people, they find that amazing. And look, we are all different. I think it's a market that if you are very knowledgeable, for sure you can also find the opportunity. The Messi ticket, and I'm talking out of my comfort zone, to be honest with you, but I think is a bit common from what I see online, other people talking about. But look, we learn, you know, mistakes is what make us, all of us, go to a different level, go to the next level. If you just have wins, that's also may sound amazing in the short term, but long run, that can also hurt you. So it's actually good that you did mistakes in the early phase of your collector's life, because you'll be much more prepared for for the future. So again, Will, thank you so much for sharing that. I thought was really amazing. And 100% a lot of people in the community will relate with you there. Look, I end up relating with you. So that's why I believe more people will relate with you. And look, we all know the social media era, right? We just share the wins, but we also have losses. And especially in a bear market, it's almost impossible to not have unless you are just selling and never buying. Otherwise, it will be difficult. And if you love the market, there is, I forget the quote exactly, but there is a famous quote in the stock market that says, if you believe in a market, you will be buying at all-time highs or even selling, because things go. If you believe in the market, you keep buying, keep selling, keep buying, keep selling. And eventually, if the market have great fundamentals, plays out in your favor. So the question number 2, Will, and again, that was an amazing answer, being really honest with you. The question number 1 goes this way. Recently, you end up acquiring 2 amazing cards. For people that may not know, and you end up sharing that at the start of the podcast, you are a big Arsenal fan. You guys are very close this year to win the Premier League. Let's hope, right?
I'm just knocking on wood. I'm not saying anything about that. That's the one question I won't answer.
No,
I'm too superstitious.
I believe in Arsenal, but I don't know, honestly. But let's refocus. So you end up buying 2 amazing cards, Henry Foot 97. When I had you on the podcast, you had, I could be wrong, but I believe a PSA 4, right?
Yeah, it was a PSA 4.
And right now, and by the way, even a PSA 4 is an amazing card for the Foot 97. But I know you end up upgrading that sticker actually twice, right? You have the SGC 8 and the PSA 8.
Yeah.
So first of all, congrats. I'm always so happy to see a collector that really enjoys certain players, certain area of the market, getting what they really like. And I think that's the case for you with Henry. But my question is probably a complex one. So you have a SGC 8 and you have a PSA 8. Like I said, congrats. But what card do you find was a better buy? Because I was talking with you before starting the podcast that I would share the amount of money you paid, and you said that's fine. So you paid 3K, I believe 3K for the PSA 8 and 1.7K for the SGC 8. That's a big difference, right? It's almost
huge difference.
Do you feel that's because the eye appealing? Do you feel that's because the brand, a mix of everything? And where is the better value for you? Hey guys, quick pause on this one. Hope you are enjoying the video, but I want to share 2 things with you. The first is my Patreon community. If you love this type of videos, you probably love my content on Patreon. I put a new Q&A every week there, and I also put extra audio that you can call a podcast on Saturday. If you join Patreon right now, you have hours and hours and hours of content. It's actually quite crazy. Link below the video if you want to join. In this case, link on the description. The second thing is my Discord server. Amazing place to interact with me, amazing place to interact with other collectors to learn about the soccer card market. We are more than 900 members and we are growing super fast. Link also below the video, check both, and now let's continue with this one.
Yeah, so for context, I bought them around the same time. I bought them kind of as the World Cup was going on, so I got the PSA 8 during the huge Golden World Cup auction where everything was like on clearance. And then I think I got the Henry around Christmas time, so shortly after. It was right before the holidays. It was right before the holidays. So like December, must have been like mid-December, early December where I got it. And I think that like I like both of them, honestly. In terms of eye appeal, now that I see them in person, the SGC 8 does look cleaner. Like it does look cleaner. I think that like, and then the thing about the PSA 8 that I like, obviously is there's a lot of controversy with the Henry sticker right now, right? It's the latest kind of sticker to get attacked by this whole fake sticker, scare with it coming to Beckett. And so I think that like, it's really interesting having, right now in this time period, I think it's really interesting having the same sticker in 2 different slabs. Because there are, like how printing was in in the 90s, talking to some of the experts, and this isn't research I did, but so I have to shout out like people like Nils and stuff like that, who are real like French sticker masters, I'd say, in the hobby. Like there's just so many different printing variations. Every printer is different, and so I think that's I know like one thing where people were like try to use to identify fake stickers is like the back, and how clear the back is, though. Like I remember a friend opening actually a 96 Panini foot, 96 97 Panini foot, and one of the stickers looked clean, like white back, black ink, and the other one was a little bit more speckled, what you'd expect from the 90s over time, from the same pack, which is wild, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that the PSA 8 long term just holds a little bit more security, I would say. But I think that I'm really happy with the value that I got for the SGC 8, and I know, you looked at it and gave your opinion on it, and said it looked solid. It had the rosette patterns and everything like that. Still a little bit riskier for sure, but I really like, I would never have imagined being able to get an 8 at 1.7. I got the 3 because the PSA 8 stickers used to go for 6K. And the reason I pulled I had a talk with my girlfriend and was like, I'm eventually going to buy this. I thought this was going to be like the whole 2023 goal was to upgrade the Henri sticker. I was not expecting it to get it at half off, at 3K. So I had to talk with my girlfriend, and, I was like, we're like, well, if you're eventually going to buy it, you might as well buy it when it's cheaper, right? But and then the 1.7 happened, and I was like, oh, holy moly, like I have to get this one too, because it was, yeah.
And so, still related with the question, I will put you on the spot. If you had to just keep one, you are forced to sell one right now,
Yes.
what will be the one that you let go?
Oh, that's a tough one. Okay. It's a very dumb reason I would say this, but I would keep the PSA 8 only because I actually like most of my collection is PSA, and
No,
I want
that's
to keep the continuity of it. And it's Arsenal, it's red and white, like in the Monaco kit, the label like matches perfectly with it.
no, that look, the your collection being in PSA, that makes total sense. As a collector, we love to have everything looking the same. So I totally understand that. Without looking the card in hand, but I saw the scans on PWCC at the time you sent me them. I would keep the SEC 8. I'm going to be honest with you. Not that my opinion matters that much.
No. I think it's the better. I think it looks better. Like if you ask me what looks better, what was a better value, SGC 8 all day.
Yeah, and I'll always add at least again. This is just my experience. Of course, this is very anecdotal, but I always felt that SGC grades a bit tougher than PSA on stickers. I really believe in that. I believe SGC and PSA, they grade very similar, but on stickers, I don't know. I always felt that SGC was a bit more harsh. I could be wrong, of course, and this is not that all the stickers will be more precise on SGC or in PSA. No, this is very relative. Every card will be a card. But I would keep the SGC. SGC 8 for me, and this is probably, if I had a hot take, this will be the one. Is the same as a PSA 8. I don't think it's the same as a BGS 8, to be honest. But SGC, I have them in such high consideration. I know that there will be a lot of people disagreeing with me on this one, and the market proves that I'm wrong in the sense that there is a huge premium for PSA. But I never liked plastic that much, but I always love the card inside of the plastic, So for me, that if one is cheaper, that's a no-brainer. I keep the SGC and I use the money to buy another great card.
That's fair. I agree with that. I wasn't also expecting, like, with these stickers with pre-modern and vintage, like the tuxedo just looks really, really nice on it. Like it's just
that's a beautiful card.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the tuxedo to look so good with it, actually.
Because
that was one of my surprises.
Red and black go really nice. Even the Zidane, because the foot stickers, they are very powerful in terms of color, right? And I think that they look nice on the SGC slab because of that, because makes a nice contrast between the black and the color, in particular in this case, red. So, Will, the next question is also, I hope, an interesting one. What sets, and by the way, I have to give some context on this question. You participate a lot in the live streams of Brian, Sunday League Investor, also good friend of the channel, and you break a lot of product with them. So we probably have great experience on this front. What new sets, Merlin, Obsidian, they are not new sets this year, but they are still fairly recent into the soccer card market. Do you believe will stand out the test of time? This is a very, very speculative question, by the way, but I would love to know your perspective since you see product moving.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in terms of what I've observed from breaking, the most successful stuff has been still Merlin, surprisingly. I think there's an actual love of Merlin for a lot of people. And even, I mean, at the time of recording, Brian, was breaking 2020 Merlin blasters. That was the first year of Merlin. And, I think that people just really love Merlin, like more than a lot of other products that are out there. I think that Stadium Club could have been interesting if they kept that sort of like how they made the whole background the color, but now they sort of changed it. So I think they kind of, shot themselves in the foot per se with how Stadium Club opened up. And then I think after that, it's weird because I think that like in the market, I think people will admire the Sapphire, like obviously that Jude, Jude Papadakis sold recently for 16K or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was like a PSA 9 or something like that. It was an 8. It wasn't a 10, I know that. But I think for fun of breaking, like just classic Chrome, honestly, like, because what I'm thinking is like, what's the most accessible, like for people, what's the most fun? And when I've been having the most fun, watching, Brian and John, open these and I'm usually the one sorting, is with Chrome and with Merlin. Like that's where it feels like people are getting their value. And so sure, Sapphire is like the premium set, but it's doing a break of that. It's so hit or miss. It's so hot or cold. You're like living or dying by like 2 parallels a box, and I think that's really, really tough versus with Chrome, you get a little bit more, there are autos, there are, you can grade the refractors and sell those. So I think that's makes it a little bit more fun for the consumer. And with sort of how thinking about how like Fanatics is and all of that, I really think that, having the people set is going to be more important, while of course there's going to be, premiums for everything. But, if Sapphire is the premium for Chrome and then, we start introducing, other premium sets like Flawless or, I mean, I'm blanking on it, but Eminence, right? Like there's always going to be a premium of a premium, but there's always going to be, I think it's easier to identify the like people set, the what can people find in their stores.
No, makes sense. I'm not sure if you saw the recent news about Fanatics that they will bring. I forget the name of the set.
Dynasty,
exactly, yeah. to the soccer card market. But still related with this question, do you think that Panini products in general, in modern, the new ones, not the historical products, but they can be dangerous? Because I'm not even sure if Fanatics wants to buy Panini anymore at this point. I think they just can crush them and move on. Because if you think about having the Champions League license is huge, and is actually even a better way to present products. Because if you make a product for Premier League, someone, especially from America, that may not know football that well, they think, okay, I'm going to get a Messi, and then they realize, wait, there is no Messi on the Premier League.
Yeah.
On the Premier League prism, but the Champions League covers everything. Champions League is kind of like the NBA of soccer to certain level. Have the biggest stars. So what's your perspective about this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really interested to see how the select comes out this year. I think that's going to be the big thing that everyone's looking forward to is select coming back, because I think
Hmm.
select's such an interesting set. You have, it goes all the way back to 2015, and me, I've been on a select kick for Messi specifically for the last like month or two. But yeah, right now Topps has sort of the grip on the hobby. I think the big thing for Panini is that they have World Cup. Like I
I
think
agree.
that's like it's really weird because I think Topps has like kind of those consistent, like if we're talking about like players, like they have those like consistent outputters. They have like a Tony Cruz, a Modric, Ozil. I'm just thinking midfielders right now, right? But like like if we're talking players like World Cup Prisms, like like Messi and Mbappe level,
But Will, what's the reason? Of course, World Cup is a giant tournament. No doubt about
yes.
that. It's probably the most important one. But one of the reasons the Prism does so well is almost the same logic as the top Champions League products, because you have all the stars there. You buy into a product where Mbappe is there, Messi is there, Ronaldo is there, Neymar is there. So you have all the major stars, and I think that's why in modern at club level, Tops does so well, because all the products go into that logic that the major stars are there. But the thing about Select, I'm also curious to be honest with you. I want to see how they make the product. Do we know if will be a product for clubs, or will be a mix of everything like they tend to do?
I think I
I,
that
I
one
don't
I
know.
don't know. I think there's gonna be a international select and then like an EPL select, I think.
Oh, okay.
Because
Okay.
I saw Soccer Cars HQ post something and it was like specifically EPL select, and I wasn't sure if that was a part of the select that was, that they announced like a few months ago, or if that was gonna be a completely different set. So that's the one thing that I'm kind of like not fully familiar with, truthfully. I think the other thing, about it is I think there's just more club fans than there are international fans.
I mean,
Like,
yeah, because it's every 4 years the World Cup, and the club is a constant thing.
yeah. And I think the interesting thing is if they printed World Cup Prism every year, would it do as well as Champions League? The Champions League set. I think that's the interesting thing.
I don't think
And
so.
yeah, and that's the one thing is I think partially World Cup Prism is so cool because it can only happen every 4 years. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, for sure.
But we don't see the same thing happen with select, but so like it's kind of like kind of up in the air on it. I just think that like World Cup Prism, especially with how this World Cup panned out, it's always gonna hold a special place.
No, yeah, I agree with that. I think Prism is the in this case World Cup Prism is by far the best Panini product they have. In Tops is a bit more debatable. Tops Chrome is probably the most historical they have, but yeah, Sapphire is good, Merlin is good. So I think Tops in general does an amazing job in modern. I like almost every product from Tops, but I don't say the same thing for Panini. There is a lot of Panini product that I really do not like that. For example, I don't like Mosaic that much. I think is a
No,
bit of a mess.
that's my least favorite actually.
Yeah, but there is more products. I'm just giving you an
Yeah, yeah.
example. So the question number 4 will is an interesting one. So I had you 8 months ago on the channel, right?
Hmm.
And in this 8 months ago, you end up learning a lot about the soccer card market. You end up acquiring cards that if I told you 8 months ago that you will be on this podcast today with two Henrys, one SCC8 and a PSA8, you may not even believe in me. You think, okay, that will take me some
No, I
time.
wouldn't. That was my 2023 goal. I was like, okay, I'm done with this year.
Exactly. So my question for you is this: most likely, at least, I would be honored if that's the case. I would have you on again, maybe 8 months, maybe 1 year. Let's say 1 year, you are
Yeah.
on again on the podcast. What will be, or looking at the next 12 months, what's the card you want to show me to put on the thumbnail 12 months from now? What's
Yeah,
the card you are really trying to acquire?
Okay, so here's the funny thing is I would have said like it would have been two cards and now it's like firmly just one card because you
Okay.
know I really now that I have my Henris, I'm focusing a lot more on Messi, especially with what I think is going to happen with the Messi market and stuff like that. And I was going to say it was either going to be a Messi 71 biz or a 2014 World Cup Messi, and the
Color.
funny thing about that is I went to Burbank, and if you told me what would have been the best case scenario, it's like, oh, I'd love to trade my like 2014 Ronaldo. So like I had a matchups Ronaldo, Messi, and then I had the cup captains, which you used to own, right? The PSA 10 Ronaldo cup captains red. And I was able to pick up, these two cards, which I'm like very, very happy for. So,
Oh,
you
nice.
know, and so I'm already this was gonna be my 2024 goal. So that only leaves really one card left that I really want in my collection, and it's a Messi 71 biz. I think the thing that I'm having trouble with is trying to figure out what grade. And I
Hmm.
think that I'd love to eventually save up for an 8, which is why a lot of what I've been doing in the market now is really just
PSA,
arbitrage.
ESA, or could be BGS SGC.
It could be SGC. We've talked a lot, and I'm just not a personal fan of BGS. Not necessarily because I mean obviously the sticker controversy didn't help, but
No, that's
more,
bad. Yeah.
yeah, but more so it's a little too square for me and a little too thick, and I just don't like the feel of it in my hands.
Hmm.
So I'd accept SGC. I'd prefer PSA just for my collection. Um, but like a 7 or an 8 would be nice. And then I think after that, like I'm also thinking of maybe getting some of the lower grades because I think that like the thing that I'm most scared of with the 71 biz is sort of those mid grades where I think as people get on the like add more to the pop, like you're gonna see a lot more like 4s to 6s. Um, but like I think 1s to 3s are really interesting because everyone will want to buy it, and it's at just like it doesn't matter what grade, it's still an amazing card. And I think that like even if the pop increases for the lower ones, like and James did a James, good friend of both of ours, like did a really great look into this. Like the 2s and the 3s I think held their value the best, and that's because like I think that regardless of what it is, like people can imagine spending, maybe splurging for their year, splurging if they go to national, like a grand to get like a grand and a half to get like a Messi 2, a Messi PSA
Yeah.
3. But once you start getting into that like 2 to 3K region, it's like it's a little bit more ambiguous. You have to be make a certain amount, sell a certain amount. It gets a little bit more complicated. And don't get me wrong, like $1,000 is still a lot of money, right? Like I
Of
don't
course.
have that. Like the Henri that I got, I had to sell a lot to get that, including a Messi Mundi Chromo PSA 9. you know but like those would be my goals, is to really kind of get the low grade Messi 71 business, and then for myself a PSA 8 would be amazing. And that's really
Okay.
what I'm aiming for. And so everything I'm doing in the market right now are kind of like arbitrage, quick flips. Like it's like if I can just get that sort of 20% return, I'll take it, sort of thing.
No, that's amazing. I mean, I'm confident that you'll be able to do it, or at least get close to achieving that. We end up sharing the video that James did about the lower grades holding a bit better. Months ago, I also did that type of research. I don't remember if I actually did a video for YouTube or for Patreon, maybe probably Patreon
Mm-hmm.
actually, where I also end up sharing similar type of data, and my results end up being actually quite similar. The lower grade, especially talking about pre-modern, vintage is actually a bit different. But in pre-modern, the lower grades end up holding quite well. Even I remember watching the Henri Foot 97 PSA 3s, PSA 4s, and they still 20% down, 30% down, but not something really crazy if you compare with other areas of the market. And the Messi market is the same thing. The lower grades, they are quite stable for, I would say, 6 months at this point.
Yeah.
I was also looking at the last PWCC auctions for even the Campeon cards, and they are solid. They kind of 10%, 20%, 30%. They variate a bit, but nothing super crazy. You can say that 30% is a lot, but for our market, I don't think is a lot. To be fair. And that's because of the puller base. I think we have a lot of people that can afford the car. A lot. Again, I don't have any numbers, but looking at the market makes me believe this, that we have a lot of people that can buy a card for $500, $1K, maybe even $2K. More than that is where things can get a bit tricky, especially because I think it's even more tricky this way. $500, a lot of people. 2K, let's say, still a lot of people. 10K, 5K is where I believe there is not a lot of people. But there is actually people above 20K. So there is almost a gap there, that the collector that is not the top high end, but is collecting a bit above the market. I think we lack some collectors, some investors, whatever you want to call it, on that area. That's why the mid grades are a bit tricky. It's also because what you said, people eventually consolidate into a better grade, etc. But I also believe is because it's the area of the market where we lack the most money.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah,
and it's
that's
interesting too, because I remember so 2 quick stories about shows is, the recent Burbank show, I made the deal for the 2014 Messi's with Pecco, who's, a former NFL player, football player. But if I asked him, like, what is he looking for? And just like me, he was like, I want a Messi 71 biz, like a high grade Messi 71 biz. And he ended up getting BGS 8, on the first day, which was really a beautiful copy of it. And back when the market was a little bit better, probably about a year ago or so, I remember being at a local show with, Brian, John, Troy, and Brian just sold like 2 or 3 copies of like PSA 2, PSA 3, Messi 71 business in the Bay Area. And I will tell you right now, the Bay Area is really bad for soccer. Like, I love the people here, like they're all homies, but it's not a strong soccer area,
well,
like on a consistent basis.
No, and look, the thing with Messi is Messi market is a special market from the start. In terms of liquidity, I talk from experience. You also probably share this idea with me, or at least tell me if that's not the case. But if you try to sell a Messi card, not that difficult. I recently ended up putting 2 stories on Instagram, the select PSA 10 purple and the Merlin Gold BGS 9. I sold them quite fast, and I had multiple offers for them. Other players is a bit more tricky, and I also know that from experience. And look, not saying that he's a player that does not have liquidity, but even Henry is more difficult to move than Messi. If you have a Henry card, you have to find the correct buyer. Messi, of course, you also have to find the correct buyer. But there is a lot of people trying to get Messi. And things change, of course, but I think the liquidity on the Messi market, even if cards are not a liquid asset, but I think we have a bit more liquidity on the Messi market. The 71Bs is fascinating because recently I feel like people all of a sudden recognize what I've been saying for more than 2 years at this point. That's the most iconic card we have in the market. And people are right now all of a sudden think, oh, that's right. I need, if I collect soccer, I need that card. It's almost, I really need to have it. But this card has been the most iconic card in the market. Again, in the pre-modern, because Pelé Alifabologet is also super iconic in the vintage market. But this card has been the chase card in our market for a long time. And I feel like, I'm not talking about you, Will, to be honest, but I feel like that there is more people exactly in the same situation, that all of a sudden, I'm not sure if maybe because Messi won the World Cup and now they really put him above everyone else. I was cutting there. Above everyone else. But Messi has been an amazing player for years, and that card is the most iconic card in the market.
I agree with that. I think it really is because Messi won the World Cup. Like, I think like like I had a nice Messi rookie. It was a Mundi Chromo PSA 9, and I was holding on to that, and
That card is also amazing, by the way.
yeah, it is. It is. I was very sad to let it go, but it had to go into the Henri, so it went, it went for a good reason. I sold it right before the finals, actually, which was, very funny. But like I don't think I'd be okay letting go of, like, if I had an 8 or a 7 or a 9 of a 71 biz, I don't think I'd be okay letting it go like right before the finals. And I think that like him winning it really pushed Messi into that sort of like tier of his own, like
For
up
sure.
there. And I think that's why it's almost like I don't think that people disagreed with you because that 71 biz was the most iconic. I think people were just wary of the whole Ronaldo versus Messi debate,
No, I mean,
and I think that was it, and now that everyone, Messi just clearly won it by winning the World Cup. Like I think that, and don't get me wrong, Ronaldo's still an amazing player,
no,
and
he's still a goat for me.
one of the goats, in the game for sure. Still, like for this generation, it's just like inherently going to be Messi now, and
No,
so I think
but Will,
that's what happened.
I totally agree with you on that. But I feel like this was already the case, even if Messi did not win the World Cup. It will take a bit longer. I'm sorry, but if you look at the Messi market, was already the strongest market we had even previous the World Cup. So eventually this would play out. At least is my perspective, of course. The thing about the Messi Everon biz in particular, I also think there is a shift in terms of mentality, in the sense that for a long time we end up looking at the Messi market and the narrative was, oh, a lot of rookies. But I also feel like people right now go, there is one rookie for Messi. Messi's Everon biz. The other ones, they are in a tier below. Maybe they should not be, because that's a great discussion.
It's a good
Maybe
debate, yeah.
Maybe the Mundi Chrome, the SS sticker also have great fundamentals to believe in them long run. But do you agree with me that there is almost a shift that we look at Messi like 7 rookies now is like, okay, but there is one rookie that is more special than the others. I felt that was already present in the market even previous the World Cup. I just thought gained some strength recently.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at price points, I definitely agree with it, where you see the Messi 71 biz always being kind of the most expensive, followed by the Este, which I think is probably would be my second choice to get a Messi rookie personally.
No, he's
And
amazing.
then, yeah. And then funny enough, I'd love like a high grade Campio after that. That would be my third personally.
But what version? Green?
The
What card?
Campio one? The headshot. I think the headshot's the most classic.
No, that card is. I also love that one, and I think most people agree with you on that. But I love the green also. I think
Yes.
the white I don't like that much, because it's the same photo as the 7 Bs, and I don't find that card unique, to be honest. I think
but the ASIO one, right?
yeah,
The
yeah,
action one, yeah.
yeah. But the green, I love it, and I also love the one you. I believe the blue is a 35. I could be wrong, but I believe
Yeah,
it's
it's
a number
35.
35.
It's 3567 is the action one, and I forget what the autographo one is. But yeah,
Look,
it's autographo.
My top. Okay, I will give you 2 tops of Messi rookies. One, the ones I like the most in terms of eye appealing. The other one will be the ones I actually think are the best buy, because those are 2
it's
different
different.
things.
It's different. It's different.
It's
There's
different, exactly.
yeah.
The one I think is the, in terms of eye appealing, I think 7 beats. Yeah, I really think is the most beautiful card in the Messi market. Second, eye appealing, by the way. Man, I like the Mundi Chrome card. I know recently the narrative got a bit worse for that card, but I think Messi looks. It's probably where Messi looks younger is there on that on that card. I really like that card for Messi. Third, I would probably go with the Messi green on the Campion, and fourth probably the blue. And then the I love the SS sticker, but in terms of eye appealing, I don't think is the best.
Yeah.
Not close. In terms of investing, and of course, no financial advice, but I would still go with 7 Bs first. Second, SS sticker.
Yep.
Again, rarity is just stronger than the others. For me, it's a bit more tricky for me.
Because you're thinking of the foil as well, right?
Yeah, no,
Is the foil not? I thought the foil was your third.
I don't know if he's my first. It's difficult because the foil I've been changing perspective over time. When you
Yeah.
look at pops, by the way, I believe the foil or the non-foil, but it's not relevant. Is one of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In terms of condition rarities, is the most. There is only one PSA 10. I'm just not sure if it's
It's
for
probably the non-foil. The non-foil's
maybe.
been graded the least.
So
I
is
know the
this
foil's graded more.
technically is the most difficult rookie for Messi in PSA 10. But I don't know. I feel like I like the card personally, but I feel like the market does not like the cards for some reason. No, for some reason. I mean, we know the reasons because there is 4 players, not just one. Um, I don't know. I may still go with Mundi Chrome. I think the Mundi Chrome card is such an amazing card for Messi. Honestly,
Hmm.
I know it's the most common in terms of pop report, but if you forget rarity and I present you all the cards, I think that will be one of the first choices for most people without knowing the rarity. I think is
Yeah,
looks like
I could
looks
see
like
that.
a rookie card, you know. So yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I could see that. I could definitely see that.
What about you, Will?
So I think in terms of artwork, I'd go 71 biz.
This case photos, yeah, but
Yeah. So I'd go 71 biz. I'd go then the headshot for the Campio, you know.
that's a
Um
nice one.
I love that one. I love headshots. I think like it's a
No, yeah.
classic thing. Like it's a classic, like if you're looking back, like that's the thing that was for the soccer hobby. And then I think after that I'd go probably probably the Asion one, the Messi Asion one, with him running. I think that I really like that. And then Mundi Chroma would be my fourth. For I would say like better stores of value. I've been recently like playing around with that term instead of calling it like investments or anything like that, because it's like or assets, like stores of value, because like you might not get a return in it, but you paid something for it and you can likely find someone to pay you a value for it also, right? So I've been playing around with that term a little bit more now. But for better stores of value, 71 biz, Este, and then having owned the foil and kind of shopped it around, yeah, no one really cares about it. Everyone like
Yeah.
goes past it. So I would say the Campio headshot would be my third, because I think the Mundi Chromo has that sort of thing where it's a little bit too common, especially in the like unless you have like that 9 or a 10. Like you see lots of 8s, you see lots of 7s, versus you don't see a lot of Campio. And then I think that like the narrative of how little the Campio was printed compared to Campion is something that Americans are only starting to realize now. Like I've educated people on that like a lot, while I've been, as since I found it out early on. Like I think that's one of the coolest facts. And when you consider the narrative of that card and the political significance of that card, I think I put a lot of value into that, because I think that's a really interesting kind of
It's fair.
storyline.
No, yeah. I mean, I agree with you in general. Again, the Messi market have something for everyone. There is something. You have some cards in the Messi market talking about rookies that are a bit more rare, or others that are more common, but the eye appealing is so nice. Messi have a great rookie market, if you ask me. Because eventually, if the market grows and the top grades for the 7-on-Bs, for the DS start getting into collectors, and I think we have enough supply to keep feeding people eventually, for the Messi market, and I think that's good.
I think it would be
Um,
fun to get like if I ended up getting my goal of a PSA 8 71 biz, I'd probably want to get PSA 8s of all the rest of the rookies. But I
mm,
just want to get the 71 biz first. I know what I need to know what grade I'm working with. But it'd be really fun to complete that set too.
so
That'd be a
that
really cool
that
set.
that was one of my goals initially. Not in PSA, because again, that's I think one of the things that makes me a bit different than most collectors is I really don't care about the grading company. again, I care about the eye appealing of the cards, and if the card looks good. And I also don't like random grading companies. I have to be honest. I like the SGC,
The top three.
BGS, PSA, and of course, if the money is very similar, I also give a preference to PSA, knowing that they have a premium. But I remember when I started the market, entering the market, that was one of my goals: try to have all of them in PSA 8, PSA 9. I'm saying PSA, but apply the same logic for the other grading companies. And I was able to do it, and I still have them. So is the type of cards that when I'm selling stuff on with LCC, on my Instagram, etc., I never think about selling these cards, because they are kind of almost the base of the reason I started collecting. I love Messi. I think he's the best player ever. So I need to have the first cards for him. He's almost something, people may ask, did you sell Messi rookies? Yes, I sold Messi rookies. I sold duplicators, because that's another thing that I don't even like that much. I just need one card, and for me as a collector, even in Magic was the same thing. There is people in Magic, if you are a player like I was, sometimes you have to have 4 because those are the amount of cards that go into a deck. But I never like that, I really just, I need one. Of course, I would keep the better copy if that's possible, or sometimes even the better value, like for example, if I had the Henry, I would be okay
with the SGC.
Exactly, because for me, it would still be such an amazing card, and I don't need the premium that people pay for the PSA. But again, this is personal. And sometimes people, did you sell Messi rookies? Yes, I sold Messi rookies to fund more cards, to fund different cards, better saying, to my collection. But the ones I have right now, a SGC 8, a PSA 8, a BGS 9, whatever. Honestly, I don't even look at prices or pop reports for them. I don't care. They are just PC.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that too. Like, I wouldn't have sold my Messi unless it was for another Grail. I think for me, the reason I sold it, just for full transparency, was because, like, I'm still starting out with my collection, so sacrifices will need to be made. But to kind of end my on research, pretty much, like, I felt like it was a big enough, like, it was a good enough sacrifice. Like, I'm pretty much like tapped out with Henri right now. Like, not that I like don't collect him. Like, I just got this like very cool pack art of him, actually, which is really cool, from the Wizards of the Coast.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah,
because he has a foil card in it as well, but I'm gonna just keep the pack art. But like, for the upper echelon of Henri, like, I'm good. I'm happy with the 8s.
So, Will, related with the football champion set by Wizards of the Coast, Henri is one of the few players that appears in different countries, because you have him in the Premier League football champions, and you also have him appearing with France in the French release that is quite more rare than the English one. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
The French card is difficult to find. I believe I saw. I could be totally wrong on the number, but I believe I saw one going for close $100.
Oh wow!
Raw. So
I have to check which one. We'll have to talk about that.
Is him with a white jersey, but he's a French jersey.
Interesting. Okay, so then this must be the English ones, because I love the foil of it. That's the more common one.
That's a nice card, but that's a bit more common.
Yes.
You can find it if you are patient, because the production for England, for UK, was quite bigger than for France. France, for some reason. Do you know the Ronaldinho card in that?
I was about to bring up the Ronaldinho card. Yeah, that's insanely hard.
Insanely hard, and that should not be that. But for some reason, and actually, I'm doing some big research on that set. I'm talking with collectors that have a lot of experience about the French market and even the Italian market for football champions. Yeah. And all of them share the same perspective. The Italian release and the English release is very easy to find. Very easy. Again, it's always
relatively, yeah.
But the French one does not appear. Recently, for example, a Zidane. By the way, I'm not even sure if Henri does not appear 2 times in the French release, because there is also update. So I'm going quite deep on this one. There is also update for France, where France have the blue kit. But now I'm not sure if the update is the white or the blue, but whatever.
Oh, that's interesting, yeah.
and the blue Zidane with France sold what I believe $200 or $300, probably
Oh wow.
$300 raw. So people know these cards are quite difficult to find.
Yeah, the only ones I have, I think, are from the English release. I think I have an Italian release. I think I have a Pirlo and a Steven Gerrard, which I don't see that often actually. So I
The
thought that was really cool. So
Gerard,
Pirlo from Italian,
yeah,
and then Stevie G, who looks a little pudgy, I'd say, in this
okay,
one. But
that card is part of an update also.
oh,
The
interesting.
Gerard. Again,
Oh, okay.
to all the viewers, I'm talking from the top of my head. If I'm wrong on this, I'm sorry, but I've been doing a lot of research on this set. But yeah, I think that's the case.
That's
That's why
funny.
the Gerard is more difficult than the Henry.
Yeah, I've never seen the Gerard before. So when I saw it pop up, I think on your Discord, I had to pick it up because I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I love that it's made by Wizards of the Coast, being a Pokemon fan.
I love that. And look,
Yeah.
I'm a Pokemon fan. To be fair, I'm not the craziest Pokemon fan, but I'm a Magic the Gathering fan, so I also love it. You know.
Yeah, Wizards of the Coast. Yeah, that makes it's
Yeah.
funny because this is the first time we've talked about this, Andre. Like we've never talked about this privately, even. So it's
No,
very
yeah.
funny. I'll have
No,
questions after this.
the football champion set. I also think, first of all, I think is a set that a lot of people is not aware, even though the
Mhm.
Ronaldinho would say is a popular card.
Ronaldinho is well known, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, Ronaldinho is well known, but I think the set people are not super aware. Um, I don't know. I mean, the set is great. Even the Italian and the English, I think, are amazing cards.
I mean, I
But
love the foil. It
I
has
love
that
it.
like yeah, the aesthetic of it that could be, you know, like I can't wait to grade these once grading costs get lower, but like I'm curious to see how hard is it to grade, you know, and all of that stuff. Like it feels like it could have a lot of interesting things for that era of like of soccer where I mean that era of soccer was incredible, like the early
I feel
2000s.
I feel like one of the reasons a lot of these sets don't do that well, even though it's relative because the French sets are doing well, but it's probably because there is no Messi or Ronaldo. They are so
Mm-hmm.
important for pre-modern that look. Think about the 2006 Panini World Cup set. That set
Yep.
still does very well, but the 2002 does not do that well. The 98 does not do that well, and with the reason is because there is no Messi or Ronaldo there. It's just so crazy how powerful these two guys are
Well,
for our market.
I think there's like a generation, like there's a talent. I don't want to say because I don't want to like diss any players, but it does feel like in the narrative there is a talent gap between that. Like 90, 96, like early 90s, you have and like to mid 90s, you have like Zidane, Henri, Ronaldinho, you know, R9, you know, all of those players. And then, you know, you get to see their journey up into the early 2000s, mid 2000s. And then all of a sudden you get the Messi, you get the Ronaldo, you get even someone like Modric, you know, and like I think that's really interesting is that, you know, that sort of era where we just got to see, you know, the greats play out almost in the late 90s, early 2000s is such an interesting era because it was all Bergkamp, Henri, Zidane, like R9, Ronaldinho, like that was that era, Kaká, right? Maybe
Yeah,
Kaká is the one player that came out in the like early 2000s, I'd say.
yeah, it's a bit later, yeah. But I agree with that. And I also think greatness pushes greatness. I think that I don't know, but that Zidane and Ronaldo, the Brazilian one, I also think maybe they are not goats, but they are elite. They are for me top 10. So I
Yes,
think
yeah.
that era is also so amazing. But no, but it is an interesting topic, honestly. So Will, to finish this, your hot take slash unpopular opinion about the card market, the hobby, the soccer card market is up to you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's gonna be interesting. And let me think. Oh, one thing before I answer that, I just wanted to say one thing that I've been thinking a lot about, and I think you'd appreciate this as
For sure.
well. Uh, it actually, can I just give two hot takes? I think that will be the best way to say it.
Feel free.
All right. So first hot take, which is I'm like I think being in modern a lot more now. and seeing kind of what's coming out. You know, we've talked about different color parallels. Like you get the same art, but there's just a different color sort of with a different number on it. I think that like I've been really trying to think a lot about what is the price, what should the premium be for a PSA 10, you know, and also like what should be the premium for plastic. Like, you know, we were talking about the two Henris, SGC versus PSA. They're made by the same plastic. They're both eights, as long as they're real, right? Like that's the only thing. Like the biggest value that you have in all these companies, which, you know, used to be, I gotta throw Beckett under the bus for this, is the authenticity of it, right? Like is what I'm buying actually real, right? That is the actual value of what these companies bring, not the grade that they give.
100%. And I feel like we all, I'm talking about the entire hobby in general, getting lost in the sauce, you know, that we look at the 8 versus 9 and we pay sometimes 2x, 3x, 4x. Sometimes there is crazy cases. And I think we all are, look, I will die on this, but I said probably 2 years ago, I still think this take is true. I really don't think most cards, especially in soccer, are in a bubble. I don't think that's the case. I think grading cards are a bit in a bubble. I think that's a different thing, you know, because look, even if you think about SGC and PSA, I think, by the way, both do a good job.
Yeah.
Just to be clear. But there is, looking at how much growth PSA had in the last 2 years, there is a very good chance that the grader that got you that Henri have less experience, less than the one that graded the SGC 8 on SGC, because they did not expand that much. So they have people that have been, again, this is so random, but they have people that probably have been there for a long time. At PSA have a lot of new graders, but we still put a premium on the PSA brand. Why? Just because, you know, if you really try to think about the good logic, I guess people can say, okay, they give you some type of insurance. That's, to be fair, a great argument. But apart from that, man, I don't know. But look, I'm not saying this because of PSA. I think SGC cards are in the bubble. I think Beckett cards are in the bubble. I really believe
it's plastic.
Plastic is in the bubble. I think cards long term, amazing. Graded cards, look, I just buy graded cards, but I'm going against myself. I think they are a bit overvalued right now. But again, who knows? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's tough to say. Oh, go continue.
Let me just say one thing. I buy graded cards, I grade cards. So I'm part of the problem also, you know. But the approach I've been having recently to the market, almost 1 year from now, 2 years from now, is that I'm trying to buy stuff that if I crack the slab, that's still a great card. You know, no matter, it's just not because PSA gave me a 10 or a 9. It's still a great card. Look, I have, so you know this, I bought recently a Top Scrum 2017 Messi Orange out of 25. Is a BGS 9.5. I think most people say that's a really nice grade. But if I crack that card from the slab, well, for sure I will lose some value because there's a BGS 9.5, there's a mint, but he's still a great card, you know. He's still a card, okay, but you don't see that card every day. He's still a very important card for the Messi one. So I'm actually trying to make a deal, so this is not done yet, on a Ronaldo Mega Cracks. The grade is also a PSA 8. This is not done, so there is even a chance this end up failing bad. But I end up looking at the card. Of course, being a PSA 8, you already assume is a card in good condition. But I look at the card, I think the card looks perfect. For sure it's not perfect, otherwise it will not be an 8.
Yeah.
To be fair, who knows with grading nowadays. But it's a type of card that, similar to my SGC 8.5 that I have for my 7Bs, that I think, look, if one day I have to crack the slab, those are great cards, no matter what. You know, people will look at them and realize they are in good condition, they are iconic cards. And that's the approach I want to have to the market. Could be with numbered cards, could be with iconic cards, could be with vintage cards. I want cards that I feel they will be okay outside of the plastic. Sorry for the.
No.
I took too long to say something very basic.
No, I think that's really good. That's a really good point. I think also like the thing is like that I've been thinking about is like plastic gives you two things. The grading companies give you two things, really. At its like core, more than the grades, it gives you authenticity and it gives you protection. Like I'm a clumsy person. I don't want to have, like I mean, great card, but like, like this can still get bent,
Yeah.
this can get water damage, stuff like that. Like that's the thing, that I care about. And the grade kind of comes second, like I think honestly, like we've talked about this Henri 8. Like if I wanted to, I think I could just submit it to SGC and be like, can you regrade this? I think this is a 9. It's actually like such a beautiful copy, but I kind of want to keep the pair of 8s, for consistency purposes. So who cares what the grade is, right? But the thing is like I think that like, especially for like, again, like these stickers especially, like I want them here because like I can't do anything to it, it's safe. It's safe here for myself, and I think the other thing is like going into modern, it's like, what's the premium for a PSA 10, right? Like, I think that like everyone has their own multiplier. And of course, like I am part of the problem as well of like, if I'm selling something, I'll be like, I think it's this multiplier. If I'm buying something, I'm like, I think it's this multiplier,
I mean,
So like
it's the market.
it's the market, and that's what's fun. It's like the negotiation process of it and stuff like that. But I think like I'm really thinking like, you know, for let's see, do I have it here? I don't know if I have it here, but like I
Well,
have two Sakas and
but
they're both oh, continue.
even if you look at the entire market in general, this is a very macro take.
Yeah.
The raw market is also down, but the market that ended up crashing the most is graded cards. No doubt about
Yeah.
that, So, no, yeah,
And I think the
that's
fact that you can grade your own cards now is big too, right? Like I understand the premium for PSA because you had to what pay $100 to grade one card. I get that. But now that it's like $18,
yeah.
$19, you can grade it yourself.
No,
So
I
like
mean,
I love this card. This is one of my favorite Messis actually.
oh,
I
the
just
variation, yeah.
yeah, just because I think he doesn't show emotion a lot of the time, he's kind of the savant. And so when seeing him like with his ego out is one of my favorites. But I bought a CSG 9.5, and the card looks nice on PWCC. And I can't wait to crack it because it's what I'm going to crack it and pay $20 to, and that's fine, So I
Yeah.
think it opens a lot of opportunity, for people. And I just question, people that say like, oh, like for modern, it has to be PSA 10, but like you can get the same card as a PSA 9 and it's pretty good. Like, can you
Look,
tell the difference?
I think, man, this is a bad route to go, but I think people most I mean I should not say this, but I will say it. I think a lot of people don't even like cards. They just like the grade.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking with other collector. I would not say the name, but we end up he shared a couple of scans with me about certain cards that are iconic, and for example, was a PSA 7, but the card looked so nice, and we look at cards nowadays like a PSA 7 is trash. That blows my mind. I think PSA 7 is still such an amazing card most of the time. It's
Yeah.
just, again,
I
it
mean, it's
depends.
sometimes it's still pack fresh at an 8.
Look,
8 is my level. Yeah.
I also get that, especially in modern, the PSA 7 probably does not do anything for the card. But if you have, I don't know, a Zidane, a Messi rookie, a Ronaldo rookie, a 7 is such a nice card. I think we are also, the word is difficult for me in English, but I believe it's desensitized, right?
Desensitized. Desensitized.
Desensitized, that
Yeah.
we kind of forget that the 7, sometimes a 5 or a 6 are still such amazing cards. And
Yeah.
this is a cliche that everyone says, buy the card, not the grade. But the reality is most people buy the grade, not the card. And I was looking the other day, this was probably 2 months ago. There was a BGS 9, no, a BGS 8.5 Ronaldo Mega Cracks and the SGC 8.5. And they end up selling for the same amount of money. I was looking at the scans. Oh my God, the SGC was in such better condition. People bought the BGS 8.5 because it's the same grade, but you compare the cards, they are not comparable. that stuff I still have a lot of, it's difficult for me to understand what's going on sometimes. Because I don't see the market that way at all.
I agree. Like I love this. Like I got a 4, but I love this card so much, and you can clearly see that. But it's such a hard card. Fine. Yeah.
Look at the eye appealing. Again, we are just seeing on the screen, but seems like an amazing card. It's a 4 and what? It's just something that look. But the reality is, if a 6 appears on the market with worse eye appealing than that one, people will pay more for the 6.
Easy.
And that's something that, is tricky. That's why, again, and we are going quite far on this one, but that's why the approach of I'm trying to buy cards that, they are inside of the plastic, but if I have to take them out, they are still fine,
Yeah, and the same thing, like I was mentioning with modern, like Sokka, and I'm good for time, so you don't have to worry about me on that. Like I have like 2 golds of him from 2020 Merlin, so like pseudo early cards, pseudo rookies, and so I think that like the 9s you can get for like $120, and then the 10s are like $400-$500. They're both golds out of 50.
What drives me crazy, and I actually don't even remember the card, but I know what I'm talking about is it's probably was some Messi. I saw a Messi red out of 10 tops going for, I don't remember what card, but I remember the PSA 9 went for $500 out of 10. Mm-hmm. At the time, I actually thought was a nice deal. I even thought about bidding on that. A couple of weeks ago, a 10 ended up appearing on the market. A PSA 10 was pop 3, the other one was pop 2, but of course one is a PSA 10. Mm-hmm. That card went for almost, I believe, 2K. And I was thinking, man, $500 versus 2K because one is a PSA 9, another one is a PSA 10. You crack both slabs, there is a good chance they change grade, they get the same grade for worst or for... and I don't get that. I cannot understand because I think... because look, Charizard, the base set first edition, is a very common card, but is not that common if you get the 10. Almost like the Messi 7 on Bs, right?
Yeah.
So I actually can see why people pay for the 10, because the 10 is actually super unique. But the card out of 10, that card is already insanely difficult to find. Why there is a 3x, 4x for one grade in a modern... Look, in a modern card, they all look
that's the thing.
The same.
That's the thing. The reason why the Charizard is also great as a 10 compared to modern cards as a 10 is because people didn't keep good conditions of the Charizard.
Also
the natural, what is it called? Attrition.
Organic scarcity, basically.
Yeah,
organic destruction also. So
yeah, but
I don't get it.
One of the, what's the funny thing is talking to a lot of people being at the National last year. Dude, I would never grade my card at the National. You know why? I was talking to someone who, I won't mention his name, but he actually passed the test to be a PSA grader, and then he got another job offer in, I think, a tech field. So he took that because it was better pay and a better contract, right? So but he's a master grader. He passed the test, right? And PSA wanted him, and he was telling me like at PSA at National, like they won't take their time looking at the card. Like they have to like churn out cards. You can only look at a card for like X minutes. They have to grade, I don't know, like I'm making up a number here, so just don't take it with a grain of salt, but like maybe they have to grade like 20 cards, like 30 cards for 30 minutes. They only have like a minute to look at the card. And so no wonder, like looking at the National, like everyone got 9s, everyone got killed. And then on IG, you see the story of like, oh, I got the 10 at the show, but that's actually really hard because graders at shows are really under such a time constraint, compared to even just regular grading.
And by the way, we I believe you are saying PSA, but this is every company.
Or I mean BGS too, everyone.
All of them are the SGC, same thing.
Yeah.
I even think PSA is a good company in general, comparing with the others. I also think SGC is good. Beckett is
I actually was gonna say I really like SGC because I got to meet them. Because he's friends with a lot of the SGC people as well, and I actually didn't realize this. So one of the things that I have that's very unique in my collection is this gold label. Gabriel Jesus.
Wow, that's a nice card.
Yeah. And I found out what makes gold labels special. And I think that was really interesting as well, compared to, say, a BGS black label, right? Because you see a lot more BGS black labels. And I didn't realize how, like, I really like how SGC does it, where the gold label, and I think we've known this, and you see it in, like, for example, the 2020 Bundesliga cards. Some cards that would get like an 8 in PSA because it has like a chip on the side gets like a 9.5 for SGC. But the reason why that happens is because SGC factors in their grading kind of like how do these cards usually come out? Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Right? Versus PSA and BGS, they kind of just look at it as like, this is what a perfect card looks like, right? SGC kind of factors in the nuance a little bit more from my understanding. And of course, take this all with a grain of salt. But
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so with the BGS black label, you see, because it's like 10, 10, 10, 10, right? But if all of and you see this a lot with like modern Pokemon cards, with Japanese modern Pokemon cards, with Dragon Ball Z cards, you see so many BGS black labels, right? And the reason why is...
I don't know if it's true, but there is also rumors that they are a bit more, lenient on the tens now.
Well, the thing is with those, it's like the print quality is so high that out of the pack, yeah, you do have a shot of just getting a black label. With the SGC gold label, what I found was really interesting was the way they phrased it was it has to be significantly better than all the 10s that we graded, which means that there are two things that come out of that, which means that you can't get a gold label off on a new set because they don't have the data to tell you whether or not it is a significantly better quality card than the other 10s, that the other gem mint 10s that they've graded. And the other thing that I learned about it is that they only make about like they have to get a special order, like they work with a different vendor to make the gold label. And
really?
Yeah, and so apparently they only, like, across all sports, and this was as of last year, so obviously maybe things have changed, they only really have to call this guy or this company maybe like 2 times a month for 2 cards. So it's quite much more rare. So even if even if we, bump it up to maybe 4, and maybe 4 cards, like, let's double it, just because we're playing with numbers that obviously these companies won't tell us directly. Say 4 gold labels are made every month, that means that there's still only 36 gold labels across all sports coming out a month. So, like, I think that's a really interesting thing, and it's made me appreciate the gold label a lot more. It's something that I've been kind of looking into, but that's why when you look at gold labels on SGC, it's a lot of base cards and stuff like that, because they have more data to say, hey, this is a gold label, and they take it into a meeting and they look at their scans of all the 10s and they say, okay, this is definitely better than all the 10s that we've done. And apparently that's the process, and that's really something I found really interesting.
No, makes sense. I mean, that's good info for sure.
Yeah.
So, Will, you said that you also had another hot take.
Yes, and we're almost out of time. This one's quicker.
Sure.
I think after this World Cup, and after looking at everything and looking at legacy, for me personally, Modric is number 3 behind Messi and Ronaldo, not Neymar.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean,
it's a loop war.
I don't think it's a crazy hot take. I think there's a lot of people that would agree with you on
I just haven't heard people saying it. Like, I think that's the thing, is like, I just haven't heard people saying it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the number 1 and number 2 are clear, right? We know that Messi and Ronaldo. But the number 3, I think it gets debatable, because you can say Lewandowski, Neymar, but Modric is probably an amazing choice also. I don't know. Yeah. But I think Modric probably also deserves to be on that,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think he deserves it for sure. I mean, another hot take, because I think you have Iniesta and Xavi, but they were living in the Messi era, is like they're up for contention. But I think also another, maybe a funnier hot take would be, I think Henry is the biggest player to get snubbed the Ballon d'Or.
To never get the Ballon d'Or?
Yes. Because I think if you look at the year, he didn't win it when...
But that's
Okay,
not
who's
true.
true? Who's true?
Pelé
All
and
right, all right.
Maradona never won the Ballon d'Or.
Okay, fair,
But
fair.
I'm joking. I get your point.
Because he could have won it, what, 2002, but then that Czech player, what was it, Nevad, won it?
Nedved, yeah.
Nevad, yeah. I think he should have won
Uh,
it that year. That's
I don't
my,
know. I think it's between him and Iniesta. I think
yes.
Iniesta also should have won one Ballon d'Or. I real is Iniesta who is bigger, Iniesta or Henry? I think in the hobby Henry is bigger than Iniesta.
But Iniesta, I think, is a better player, to be fair.
Iniesta won a lot. That's the thing. You look
But he
at
won it with
Iniesta.
Messi.
Okay, one with Messi, but he was key part of
Yeah,
the
I know,
team.
I know.
I mean, people say that Messi had Iniesta,
That's
Messi
true.
had
That's
Iniesta
true.
and Xavi, but I get your point. I think they are different players. Henry was a more spectacular type of player, scored crazy goals.
Yeah, yeah.
Iniesta was more like a Modric type of player, more about the brain and less about
Yeah.
being
Well, I
super
think
explosive.
maybe the nuance is, I think, yeah, Iniesta is the better player. I think Henri had way less competition. He should have won 2002. Like, if you
No,
look
I
at the stats
agree.
with him and Nevad, like, it should have been Henri that season
No,
versus what was the
exactly.
year? What wasn't it, like 2 or 3 years where Iniesta just came second to Messi? I
I believe
think that,
I believe Iniesta made the top three 2 or 3 times, which is crazy,
yeah, that's
But yeah.
crazy.
But again,
But
Messi
that's a
and
little bit
Ronaldo.
more understandable,
Yeah.
than Henri and Nevad. So yeah.
No, yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah, 100% Iniesta in the Henry era. I mean, if Nedved won, Iniesta 100%, in my opinion, would also got one. But again, Henry is an amazing choice. I also think Henry should have a Ballon d'Or, especially because of Nedved, I believe even Shevchenko, Wanir. There was a couple of times that Henry
It's a little sus. Yeah.
had a really nice case. But I also look. Do you think that matters? Who cares
No, it
about the?
doesn't
Not who
matter.
cares. They are great players, Nedved and Shevchenko. But people care much more about Thierry Henry. We know. People know that the guy was probably the best Premier League player ever. So I mean, I understand he's important, but you compare. No one compares Iniesta with Nedved. It's just
Yeah, that's true.
crazy.
That's true. That's true.
It's
That's true.
just that's nonsense. Or actually, I was saying Modric, but Modric won Ballon d'Or.
But yeah.
I almost forget that Modric actually
Yeah.
won Ballon d'Or.
Oh, just fun. Shout out to Modric. Just
I
a fun
love
little
that guy.
Yeah, I know. I got. Oh,
That photo is sick
yeah.
for Modric. But yeah, Will, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I really enjoyed. If you want to share a couple of words to end, feel free.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been really fun. I'll be on the Discord more for sure. But yeah, if anyone, you know, anyone's welcome in my DM. So feel free to hit me up at Wasabi Trading with 2 S's.
No, your
Yeah.
Instagram will be below the video.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
So
I don't
yeah,
know if people know this, but it's because my last name's Wasmer with 2 S's, so that's why I have that username.
okay, that's good info. Well, thank you so much, guys. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Do not forget to leave a like and see you guys next time. Bye.